I procrastinated a lot. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was honestly not sure how I'm going to be going through this saga and the next saga sober, if I can. This is just water. I will start sober. Am I gonna end sober? Who knows? So here's the thing. We all know I have extreme issues with Wisdom Saga and Vengeance Saga. They are my two by far and away least favorite sagas. I think they're the weakest sagas overall. The writing completely baffles me, and they need edits. Like, if nothing else. And that's not saying you need to do word for word what the Odyssey is, but they do need edits. They are extremely weak in comparison to other sagas, and it shows, right? It really does. So, I'm gonna be doing my best. Am I still gonna take breaks and talk about issues I have with the writing? I'm gonna try not to, because while I did go reasonably ad nauseum in my original listen, I was also doing a first reaction, so my thoughts weren't perfectly collected. You guys were very much getting me off the cuff and confused and startled. However, let's put this out there right now. Any issues I have with the musical itself is not something I'm going to transpose onto the artists. The artists here have done their interpretations of Epic. I'm not looking for interpretations of the Odyssey from them, right? As I always say, you artists are extremely talented. Any gripes I have with the musical, I have strictly towards the musical itself, not towards your work. Just, I want to say this because it's apparently confusing for some people. I will also note that there might be a point in which I have to mute the sound for my own sanity. In that you guys will hear the sound and it will play through this video, but I will essentially be watching on mute. Again, for my own sanity. Because in addition to the fact that the content of Wisdom and Vengeance Saga makes me want to stab out my brain via my ear with an ice pick, the songs aren't my favorite either. Like, they don't really have melodies that I love. I don't ever want to re-listen to them, with like a couple rare exceptions. If I were looking at like my playlist of Epic the Musical songs, where yeah, I'll listen to that again, from Wisdom Saga, the only one that stays is God Games. And we all know I have my problems with the ending of that, but musically I still enjoy it. In terms of Vengeance Saga, it's dangerous and get in the water. That's it. There's nothing else that's kept. So, we have Legendary. There are 3 legendaries. Consider yourselves lucky there are 3 legendaries, because I was kind enough to let them add a 3rd to the list. Initially, I really was like, I would rather have 2. I don't want to sit through this song 3 times. However, we all know that Mary, who's one of my mods and is one of the list makers, if you will, is the biggest fan of Gigi, and she basically demanded Gigi be on this list, and Gigi was not initially, and they desperately wanted to keep the 2 others that are on here. So I let them. This is a rare case where they were allowed to keep 3.
You're welcome, all of you.
I will not make it out of this sane. So for Legendary, I have Duvet Box. I have Kisu Doodles. I might actually enjoy Kisu Doodles. I like your art style. And as we know, I was saying, Kisu Doodle was gatekept from me. I didn't see them until Mutiny. I've since been told that I guess they really only have a couple animatics, and the first one in terms of like the timeline of Epic is in fact Mutiny. So, and we have Gigi. No offense to you artists. I'm not looking forward to this. And it has nothing to do with the artists. It's everything to do with the content of all of these songs. Let's go. All right, we're gonna start with Duvet Box. I only have one headphone in because, again, we'll see how long I manage before I end up having to mute this. Wish me luck, guys. 7 years later. Okay, so confirming the time jump. Hold on a second. I need to go back. A lot of I will appreciate Duvet Box has done establishing shots, is what we call these, where you're setting the stage. Literally, you're establishing your setting, you're establishing what you need. Those are very nice establishing shots. We're showing Ithaca. I wanted to go back and see some of the armor. I saw broom helmets, I knew I did.
It's just me, myself, and I.
Okay.
Stuck in my bedroom, living in this.
Let's get this out of the way. And I'm sure, as happened in book club very recently, I'm going to break people's brains. Telemachus should have facial hair. And this is not just personal opinion. It is confirmed in the Odyssey he has facial hair. It's confirmed. It's part of a promise that Penelope makes to Odysseus before Odysseus leaves. The whole thing he said to her was, you know, if it comes to the point where our son has facial hair, has a beard, basically meaning our son has become a man, because in Greece, having facial hair sort of denoted you as a man. Now, don't count the gods in this. The gods are their own thing. This is among humans. If you do that, remarry. Because assume by that point he's dead and not coming home. Because again, that would be, well, like probably several decades, almost. And it breaks her heart. And even then, now that she's, you know, he's got a beard, he is a man, he's ready to step into his own, she still has not remarried. And mind you, Odysseus actually hears this conversation, because this is when Odysseus is doing his like Mission Impossible, like snicking around, Trojan Horse 2.0, but this time it's personal thing. So he hears this conversation that she's having with the maid. It actually brings him great joy to hear this. And the fact that she, you know, is, even though she made him that promise, she's like, no, I'm fucking waiting. And this makes sense because Odysseus, again, is not confirmed dead. He's like a missing person. Can you imagine the trauma of that sort of lack of closure? She's like, I don't have confirmation even of what happened to him. So it's like, if he's dead, at least I need to know what happened. But nobody has news. Nobody knows what has happened. And that's, I think, really what drives her. In addition to obviously she loves her husband and everything else, that's also what drives her to like refuse to make a move on anything. She's like, I have nothing. If he's dead, he's dead, but she doesn't even have confirmation of that. And so she's in this limbo that brings her no joy, no peace. I mean, mind you, like when I tell you she is under siege from these suitors and stressed beyond belief, the only time Penelope sleeps in the Odyssey is when Athena has to come down and basically give her divine help to sleep. Penelope is so anxious and in such despair and having so many problems that she literally cannot sleep. It's wild. But yeah, I mentioned the facial hair because obviously we have a bare-faced Telemachus, who also seems to have a beauty mark here, and he's wearing earrings and he looks like he's wearing eyeliner. This might just be part of Duvet Box's style, the eyeliner bit at least. But we want him to look like an impetuous teenager, I'm wagering, even though he would pretty much be 20 at this point. And even if you were to go back to the point for when the suitors first arrive, he would be about 17.
World you left behind, dreaming of all these monsters that I'll never get to fight. But boy, I wish I could, so I could bring the world some light.
Okay, yeah. This is not I actually like those, there's some blur dissolves being done here, showing like the scroll with, you know, lightning bolts and all the stuff, like he's hearing these stories. Now, most of these stories, he likely would not have been reading them. He would have been hearing them told. As we know, in the Odyssey, in the first book, there's actually a singer, like who's, you know, hanging around the palace to entertain. And he starts singing these songs of Troy, of the glory of Troy. And Penelope actually happens to be standing there, and she starts breaking down. She starts weeping. And Telemachus, in a move that might confuse a lot of people because they're like, he's so awful, he goes like, Mom, why are you crying? Because his attitude at 20 and only thinking of Kleos and glory is this idea of like, look how, like, hear how awesome my dad is, how awesome these warriors are, and all this great stuff about Troy, versus Penelope, who's far more intimately involved in the war at Troy. I mean, one, it was her cousin who was kidnapped. It's her husband who went off to war, and all of his friends, so her family has gone off to war. She feels that trauma far more intimately because she was there. I mean, not at Troy, but she remembers them sailing off. He was an infant. He does not remember. And an important thing to note is a lot of these songs of Kleos, this word we've brought up, this glory loosely defined, are not only, like, Kleos is not only just the glory itself, it's the songs of glory. And these songs, unfortunately, are often being sung after you're dead. I mean, usually it's because you've died. I mean, who are they singing about? Achilles and Hector, Ajax the Greater. They're all dead. They all died at Troy. So they're almost funerary songs in a way. And so for her, as could be understand, I think, from this concept of she's, you know, the veterans' spouses who were left behind, they feel that loss. They feel the empty space. And also, even when these warriors come back home, they're not the same, especially because Troy's different. So you can, I mean, taking out the argument of, was Homer a real person? Did he exist? Did he compose the Odyssey? Like, for simplicity's sake, let's say that whoever it was that composed the Odyssey is named Homer. Like, let's just go with that. Homer arguably composed two of our earliest, and I think two incredible, some of our best, anti-war narratives. Because the Iliad shows mankind at their worst in the middle of Troy, year like 9-ish, 10-ish. We're in that last bit, and it is, people are awful. They're petty, they're violent, they're cruel, they're monstrous even. Achilles gets to a point where he's being described as almost inhuman in his rage. It's mankind at their worst. Odysseus is the Odyssey is the fallout. It's the effect a conflict like that, a war to end all wars, if you will, has upon the people who are involved, those who survive. You know, and that is something Telemachus needs to discover in the Telemachia, the first 4 books of the Odyssey. The whole point is he needs to understand, why is his mother weeping? He's got that sort of young, youthful energy where he's just like, yeah, glory. He's awesome. They did all these cool things. And she's just like, it's death and destruction. And all it ended with was pain, right? Nobody really came out for the better. I mean, other than Helen, because she got kidnapped against her will. So like, yeah. So, but like, considering who he meets, he goes to Pylos and he meets Nestor. Nestor, mind you, though, as we say, he's old man Nestor. He saw so many things even before Troy. He likely handles his trauma, we'll say air quotes esoterically, a little better than one of the other heroes we're gonna meet. But it's still sad. He lost a son at Troy. One of his sons died in front of him fighting. He's still alive, still kicking ass apparently, because he's still king. Nobody can challenge that. But he's witnessed a lot of trauma in his life, and he's old. So by this point, he's, I think, a little more settled. However, we then go meet Menelaus, or Menelaus as they call him here. The guy who went because his wife was kidnapped. Which, I mean, God, talk about her trauma. Poor Helen. Got kidnapped as a child. Fucking Theseus and Pirithous. And then, when she finally gets a chance that no other women get in Greek mythology, really, with, again, I think one of the only other exceptions being, like, Atalanta, she gets to choose her husband. The choice is given to her. All these suitors come, her human father, Tyndareus basically says, I will let you choose. And she gets to make that choice. She chooses Menelaus. And they seem to have a happy marriage before Troy, and even after Troy. They get back together, no questions asked. They go on a whole second honeymoon through Egypt, come back richer than ever. But she got to make that choice. And then because Aphrodite made a promise to Paris, she strips away Helen's free will and forces her to fall in love with Paris, to then be taken away to Troy, where she's then in the worst fucking situation you can imagine, because all of Troy's gonna hate her for this conflict. The Greeks could totally hate her. She doesn't know what Menelaus might think or what he might do if they beat the Trojans, and if they don't beat the Trojans, then what happens to her? Like, Helen's in the worst situation of everyone. But Menelaus was like, they did that pact of Tyndareus. He called in everyone to come after Helen and siege Troy. And he fought 10 years on those front lines in front of those walls, and then sacked that city, took her home, had his own kind of adventures to get home, because before Odysseus, the last one to get home is Menelaus and Helen. He comes home and finds out his brother has been killed by his sister-in-law, who is also Helen's half-sister. Oh, and Clytemnestra, the half-sister, she was then murdered by her son as revenge for that. And now Orestes, her son, is having to go through all sorts of like penance and trials. Like, he comes back just to more pain. When we meet Menelaus in book 4 and he tries to talk about Troy, he breaks down. He literally can't finish. Helen has to basically pull out the ancient Bronze Age version of like anti-anxiety herbs to chill him the fuck out, because he just starts collapsing in tears. And this is where Telemachus starts to weep as well, because he's finally starting to understand, oh, yeah, they're songs of glory, but they're songs of grief. They're songs of pain. And even when he's home, because I know the argument can be made, well, this is him before the journey. Even then, he's not out there like, I want to go fight monsters and do all this. He just wants to know what happened to his dad. He wants to know where he stands in the world, because until Odysseus is declared dead, he doesn't know. right? So he just wants to know what happened to his dad. He wants to know who his dad was. And yeah, he does want to go out and start doing things that like a man would do. He is chomping at the bit a little. But part of his journey of maturation is understanding that glory is nothing but sorrow at the end of the day. Which of course is a lesson he does not learn in Epic. It's great, it's great. But I did want to say I like the scroll. But the big thing is that normally these would probably be something he heard orally more than actually like read on paper. Even we hear of the tales of like, how did they send messages back and forth? They sent an envoy. Basically someone went and spoke the message. Literacy rates weren't super high in the Bronze Age. That's a great shot though. The low angle looking up at the sky. He feels small.
No idea if you're dead or just too far. Somebody tell me.
It's a pepper.
Give me a sign.
Is that supposed to be Argus? He looks way too young to be Argus. Like, too spry to be Argus.
If so, then
Okay, we'll briefly talk about Argus. I'm going to very briefly talk about Argus because Argus makes me incredibly sad. Those who are at book club know I started crying while reading that section. It upsets me deeply. Argus is described as very old. I mean, a dog that's like 20. Dude. And he's neglected. He's in really bad shape. So that's why I'm like, is this supposed to be Argus? But he seems far too spry to be Argus. And Argus is, like I said, in really bad condition. In a way, he's the condition of the kingdom. You know, what has happened to Ithaca. It's been kind of neglected in the past X number of years because they've all kind of been thrown into turmoil. Everything is out of joint and out of balance. And then why does he pass away immediately upon seeing Odysseus? Because we're fulfilling a kind of prophecy, if you will. We're having Odysseus come home, but also he's a different hero. The hero from Troy is no longer here. It was a different hero that came home. So a dog like Argus, both is like, I stayed loyal and I was able to see you come home, but also my work here is done, kind of thing. Okay, I say no more because I'm gonna get upset.
give me sirens and a cyclops. Give me giants and a hydra. I know life and fate are scary, but I wanna
The clouds,
be
the faces in the clouds.
legendary. I'll fight the harpies and Camavras, the Minotaur, even Cerberus. I know life and fate.
This is the only bit of the music I like.
Wanna be
Yeah. I will play it. I hate that stupid. I'm sorry. I hate that riff. I think it's dumb. I hate it. I will say the one bit musically I like is the snare that's in the back. But it like never comes back, which is annoying. I'm turning this down because I do not want to have to hear the No, I'm a hater. I'll be real, I'm a hater of that bit. I hate it. I think it's stupid.
legendary.
Ugh.
There are strangers in our halls. Trying to
Should be
win the
way
heart
more
of
facial
my
hair.
bitches.
He and his mom have a matching beauty mark, I see.
The men who call me small.
I'm guessing that's supposed to be Antinous.
It's not much.
The one question is where the hell did he get his eye scar? The whole point is that these guys haven't really done shit. Yes, they are all adults, all of the suitors. They would all, number one, have facial hair. They are men. We're men. We're men in tights. Tights.
Yeah, ADHD.
But two, they haven't done shit. Like, they're really not that impressive. Right? None of them fought at Troy. Like, who are you? Even the ones who are older, because again, we have a wide range of ages, from probably around Telemachus' age, maybe a year or two younger if they've already got facial hair, to like Odysseus' age, maybe even a little older. So, should see more facial hair. And also, yeah, I get he's an eye scar, he's a bad guy, whatever. That implies he did something cool. Antinous ain't done shit.
Longer we can stall.
Oh.
Cause they're getting impatient. Dangerous too. And I would fight them if I was
Okay.
as strong as he.
That's a shock. Let's talk about that. If there are weapons being thrown at the fucking throne, just gonna note, this does again add to why the fuck does Telemachus leave? We've established he's not yet a man. He's not being treated like a man. He's not being considered a man. There's nothing in the show that implies he's essentially a man and being able to go forth on some sort of journey. But, you know, because he actually does that in the Odyssey, which of course has great fucking reasons for why he does it and sets that all up for you, Jorge just does it. But if this is something they are doing, which that is incredibly disrespectful, would not have been done. Even the suitors, again, in the Odyssey, as terrible as they are, and here's the thing, if you cannot realize that what the suitors are doing in the Odyssey is really fucking terrible, I'm a little concerned. You know? Then we need to add them apparently throwing weapons at the throne. No. And that's if there's some kind of throne. Is there likely a particular place that the king would sit? Sure, probably. A grand throne like that style? No, not in the Bronze Age. I don't believe so. But regardless, if they're throwing weapons at the throne, which is a very not so subtle threat that we do not give a shit, and violence is on the table, which of course we know fucking Little Wolf is after this, there is no reason he should be leaving Ithaca. So again, Duvet Box, this is not on you. You're interpreting what Jorge has given you. I'm taking issue with what Jorge has given you. I will say, even though you're doing very like simple lines for these backgrounds, I do like that you've thought out giving backgrounds. Like, he's moving through the palace, kind of moving through space. You're doing work to try and give all the suitors sort of different looks. I appreciate that. That's work you gave yourself that you didn't necessarily have to do. You could have drawn them as stick figures.
Somebody help me, come and give me the strength.
Hello, Athena. I like the owl inclusion.
To keep my mom safe. If so, then give me sirens and a cyclone.
Oh, he actually knows how to use a goddamn sword. Thank God.
I know life and fate are scary, but I wanna be legendary.
The idea of him singing in this large sort of throne room is actually kind of a nice image, emphasizing he feels small compared to everything else.
Where is he? Where is the man who loved you?
There's Penelope. So she's wandering around the suitors.
Where is the man with whom you spent your life? 'Cause it's been
And she's leaving.
and we still have no king.
Give me a chance, a single opportunity, and I'll overcome these obstacles and scrutiny. And
Boy,
when's your tramp of a mother gonna choose a new husband? Why don't you open her room so we can have fun with her? Don't you
Okay.
dare.
There's one thing I want to note, and I know a lot of these characters are often designed to look a lot like the voice actors. I don't know what the voice actor for Antinous looks like. I don't know what almost any of these people look like. I'll be totally real. I know what Jorge looks like. I know what Hermes looks like. I technically know what Ares looks like. I think I've also seen what Tiresias looks like. Like, I've seen a couple of them. A lot of them I don't know what they look like. So I'm going to ask a question. I don't want this to go over wrong, but this is my question. There's a lot of visual coding being done on Eurylochus with the seemingly textured hair and the way his facial features are designed, that he looks like he is supposed to be, I'll say, not white. Which, let's be real, while everybody's Mediterranean, they're a little swarthy, they are all white. It's all a bunch of white dudes running around. Big egos and big Greek feelings. Is this because of the voice actor? If it is, I'm not going to have any more to say. That's fine. If it isn't, and we just did that, I do kind of want to look and say, why are we coding kind of one of the big villains of Epic as not white? That's a little... It just sort of leaves an unhappy taste in my mouth that I don't want to delve too far into, I think only because I'm not the right person to talk on that topic. However, his hairstyle is interesting. Again, it looks like it almost looks like it's supposed to be some sort of textured coil, which is not something you'd see commonly with Greek hair. You will see curls, you will see absolutely waves and what have you. I can look at all my Greek relatives and know that kind of texturing that seems to be implied by the style, and this could be me misreading the style, I'm also gonna say that. Not so much, but also physically grabbing the prince. Duvet Box, this is not your fault. This is everything that Jorge did wrong. I will note there is a fight, like a brawl, a one-on-one fist fight that happens in the palace. Except it's not between the prince and the suitors. It's between, it's Odysseus in disguise. It's while he looks like an old beggar, and he's on an undercover mission that is divinely sanctioned, so rules for him are kind of out the window. And another actual beggar. And Antinous basically loves the idea of bum fighting. It's awful. It makes them seem so distasteful and terrible. So that does happen. Telemachus is watching. Now, at that point, Telemachus knows that is his father in disguise, and he kind of has to stay quiet and just sort of watch it happen because he's like, Dad's got a plan. Dad's got a plan. Sorry. I am doing my best to just not lose my mind in frustration. I knew this was going to be tough.
Call my mother a tramp.
oh,
Yeah, with the lip, too. This...
what you gonna do about it, champ?
Somebody tell me.
What are you going to do about it,
Give
champ?
me
Guards? There are servants there. Slaves. They're called dolos. We know they're there. We know that. The teeth and everything. Okay. Some things that I actually really quite liked about that. Mainly, there's some really great emphasis on how isolated Telemachus feels. There's a lot of great shots, some of them from low angles, some of them nice great wide shots that really give, especially like when he's in the throne room or initially when he's in his room, where Telemachus feels very isolated. He feels very alone. Which, I mean, his whole thing is, where's my dad? Who is my dad? Who am I? Like, big questions of that. So there's some really great shots for that. Again, I like the fact that all the suitors had kind of different looks. Again, I'm going to ask that question with Antinous. Is the singer, is he a person of color? Because if that's why we're coding that character visually to have some things that make me think that's what we're going for, I say no more. Because at that point, you're just going off the voice actor. And that's fine. If not, I do have to kind of wonder why we coded that one character that way. In fact, considering the only other character who feels a little coded that way is also Eurylochus, who also betrays Odysseus. Like, ooh. If this is just a case of the voice actors happening to be men of color, then I shut up, I say less, I put my hands up. Not a problem. Like, that's your base. If like you're just basing it on the voice actor, that's an unfortunate coincidence, right? And also, as a clearly white person, I am not one to really speak on this topic. So I just mentioned it because it was something I thought of. Beyond that, very well done. Again, we all know this is a song I really don't like, but I don't knock the art. The art is nice, and I do appreciate the detail of having, like, taking the time to draw out the backgrounds and thinking out the space in a clearly, like, you're thinking it as a big three-dimensional space. Very well done. Next up, I've got Kisu Doodles. Kisu Doodles, you're back. Now, I did like your style for Mutiny. I have some hope that I won't totally hate your Telemachus. Now, am I expecting Telemachus with facial hair? No, because I think everybody's gonna think he doesn't have facial hair. Something I realized in book club was, like, people were like, what do you mean he has a beard? I'm like, yeah, he has a beard. Of course he has a beard. Like, it doesn't have to be a full bushy thing, but he's got a beard, guys. Which I'm sure is blowing everyone's mind again. We have Kisu Doodles. I'm very excited to see your style. Oh, I can't wait to see how you design the suitors. I am hella fucking curious. So let's go. Oh wow, that is... I'm getting Red Keep vibes from Game of Thrones with this castle.
It's just me, myself, and I. Stuck in my
Candles.
bedroom, living in this world you.
I'll say, admittedly, I don't know enough about, like, production of wax and use of, like, candles and stuff. I think in the Bronze Age they were using essentially torches and, like, braziers. I don't know about, like, candles. That one I actually can't speak to. It was something that came to mind, but I can't speak to it enough. See, he's got a pinky ring. I'm kind of hoping it's like a signet ring, but it's a very huge room. He looks like he's studying, doing stuff. I'm curious.
Left behind, dreaming of all these monsters.
Like a kid doodling on their homework. He's literally looks like a kid doodling on his homework.
I wish I could, so I could bring the
He's got some musculature though. Thank you, Kisu Doodles.
with your stories, but no clue who you are. And no idea
It is a
if you're
signet ring.
dead,
Oh,
just
with
who
Athena's
you
owl.
are.
Interesting.
Somebody tell me, come and give me
I
a
actually like that.
try.
Oh, that looks like it could be a
If
brazier.
I fight those monsters, isn't you I'll find.
Again, I just kind of love that he's got some muscles on him.
Give me sirens and a cyclops. Give me
Oh, he was stealing
giants
something
and
with
a
wax, huh?
hydra. I know life and fate are scary, but I wanna be
Is this him doing some work?
legendary. I'll fight the
Royal
heartbeat that
missives?
command us.
Oh,
The minutes
the
are
feet.
even seconds.
Okay.
I know
Okay. Sorry, I'm not Tarantino. I don't have a foot fetish. One, feet are, I think anybody will tell you, hands and feet, notoriously annoyingly difficult to draw. So, speaking as somebody who does art, I'm just like, they're so hard to do. But also, two, I don't know if I've mentioned it in epic videos before. We talked about it in book club that, like, almost as a joke, they talk about people's feet quite a bit in the Odyssey. And that's because most of the time, people were likely wandering around barefoot. Because remember, you kind of have to make your own shoes, and you need the material and the ability to be able to do that. In his case, yes, of course, he has sandals. He's royalty. But it was not uncommon for people to be just like, man, the yams, the toes, all of it, they were out, man. They were just wandering around barefoot. So you could literally recognize what someone's footprint looked like, what their foot shape looked like, because you were just seeing them all the time. It wasn't like anybody had a weird fetish. It was just like, man, their feet are just everywhere. Sorry, so that was, figured I'd have that fun little tangent moment to be like, feet. It's a thing. I don't know. But I like this. I mean, he's got scrolls. I wonder if they're supposed to be like missives. Maybe he's trying to find out what happened to his dad if you're sending out for information. Now, we do know in the Odyssey that they didn't really send people out. They kind of hoped people would come to them, which this is how you often got your news, people traveling back and forth. So anytime someone came and claimed to have news of Odysseus, Penelope would see them. She was desperate for news. I mean, she's gotten a lot of people who have lied to her, which is, again, sad, tragic. Penelope, our goddess, I'm so sorry. So, this is what I want to imagine, unless Kisu's about to prove me otherwise. I'm kind of hoping this is like, send these out. Has anyone heard from Odysseus? Is he somewhere? Like, anybody got news? I like seeing that. It shows that he's kind of doing like princely duties, if you will. Now, he's obviously very more modernly dressed, like the tank top and everything else. But again, men in the Bronze Age were based, as I said, they were sloots, man sloots everywhere. Thighs were out. Were they wearing a full tunic that covered their chest? IDK, mate, not always. Very common to just not be doing that. But again, I will say again, I like that there's musculature. It's not like, I mean, he's not like buff, but he's got muscle. As he should. He's a prince. He's been trained how to fight. We know he knows how to fight, and he's gonna prove it in the Slaughter of the Suitors. Well, in the Odyssey, he does. He gets overwhelmed in Epic, which does not happen in the Odyssey. And anybody who says, oh, but a bunch of them ganged up on him, he fights a whole bunch of them in the Odyssey that gang up on him, and he wins. So Telemachus ain't Telepunzel here. He looks at this kid and goes, I don't know who that is. I don't know him.
I've been faint or scary, but I wanna be legendary. There are strangers.
See, okay. We all know I hate the legendary thing. By having it so that he's like kind of does something stupid, like throws the missive and then is trying to catch it, that actually makes it reasonably tolerable, because it feels more like he's like he's like, oh god, no, come back. I can tolerate that. Kisu Doodles, you actually made that tolerable. I'm impressed. Also, what a great shot. It's a great shot. This reminds me of a fabulous shot that's done by Peter Connolly. And I'm going to insert it so you guys can see. There's a beautiful image that Peter Connolly did where he's illustrating like moments of the Odyssey, and it's Athena looking down while Odysseus is about to string the bow and about to shoot through the 12 axes, and he's going to look really old because he's in his old beggar disguise. This reminds me of that. Him looking down. Now, normally this would be him in a place of power, which in a way Telemachus is. He's the prince. He's said to be the next king of Ithaca, should things go to right, which of course they will. It's part of the Nostos. But we see a lot of people down there. I like that I see what looks like some people might be in dresses, so those could be maids. Famously, there are 12 of them who are terrible. One looks like he might be holding a spear. There's lots of, it looks, I want to say that almost looks like a water feature. I can't tell what that is. But I see a bench. Like, it creates a really nice sense of space. It also shows that, like, hey, they were able to, like, not always have to deal with the suitors in person. The problem was they were sieging the main area of the house. So you essentially had to retreat to your private rooms, which is what Penelope does most of the time. That's a great shot. And also, I appreciate that you did the head, body, because I don't blame you. I would not be drawing all billions of people individually. I'm just appreciating the great shot. We all know I really like good wide shots because I like a sense of space, a sense of scale, and wide shots can also be done to express loneliness and feeling of being alone, like I noted with Duvet Box. So Kisu, I'm a big fan of this shot.
Trying to win the heart of my mom.
So she was in the dress. I see you. That is incredible. Men who call me small. But what kind of angle is this? Low angle, which would normally mean he's the one in a position of power. Again, he is the prince, but he doesn't look very intimidating. And even looking down, because of his expression, he seems kind of worried looking down at them. So he doesn't quite feel the power he's supposed to have. He doesn't know where he stands. He's like, yeah, technically I'm above you as the prince, but who am I really? I'm not the king. There's only so much I can do. That's a great use of. So normally we've been talking about how low angle means, hey, that's the person in power, we're the one down below. But this is actually incredibly mature storytelling because you're slightly inverting it and adding nuance to it. Where yes, he is technically in the position of power. He's the prince, he's of the royal family, but he doesn't feel like he has power. So he's looking down with a slightly worried expression. His body language is pretty close. He doesn't look that intimidating. He feels like he's looking down from afar and that he can't really do much of anything. Well done. Great use of camera angles. In addition, I'm going to turn it here. You see how this is skewed slightly? Slight Dutch angle. Things are out of joint. The whole thing with Ithaca is right now, Ithaca is basically out of joint because the monarchy is out of joint. The monarchy is out of joint because right now Odysseus is currently trapped with Calypso. One of the worst characters in the Odyssey, and you will not change my mind. So we have him slightly tilted because he's like, I am in power. Oh, but I'm not really. Things are tilted slightly out of joint. Ah, great use of camera angles. Very well done.
Keep taking space and it's not much longer we can stall.
Now this is a very huge palace. Oh, it's an archive. Okay, so he's like filling an archive. Oh, he has the ring back on. Wait, I'm dumb. I'm about to be real dumb for a second. Didn't he take the ring off because he put it in wax? Did he put it back on and I just missed it? Kisu, did I just miss something really obvious? I think I did. We're gonna roll with that. Having a big archive. Now some of these look like books, which likely not have. Again, scrolls are correct. I see a cask. Are they drinking in the library? Oh wait, that library sounds fun. Hold on. Yeah, Telemachus, you and me. Cheers, mate. The palace, I was gonna say, looks absolutely huge. These massive palaces. Would it have likely been that big? I will be honest, I don't actually know. Again, some of our best understanding of this sort of Bronze Age architecture on the Greek Isles is stuff like the archaeological digs and stuff at the Palace of Knossos on Crete. Minoans have eventually kind of flown to the Mycenaeans, but they have similar enough, it seems, architectural styles and the like. And I will also say I'm not enough of an expert to really say like just how big were they. I mean, the Palace of Knossos is a pretty good size, what we have, you know, dug up of it and restored of it. And it's very beautiful. You look up the pictures because some of them are still even like painted. So you saw there with lots of color everywhere. This looks a little more medieval, but I appreciate that we're trying to make it feel like a palace and feel very big. Again, we're also leading this idea of here he is wandering around this upper level. Maybe that's the personal quarters kind of area. And he's alone. Penelope's down there with the suitors. Now we know Penelope actually preferred to not show herself in front of the suitors by this point. Like, she showed up if she had to, but she was not really loving it and would try not to. Also, this is because of the fact that we have slightly changed the timeline here. At this point in the Odyssey, her trick with the shroud has been discovered and they've just forced her to finish it. She's not exactly on talking terms with them. Now, she does do some great stuff in the whole during the undercover mission bit. So the lead up to the slaughter of the suitors, where she plays them like fucking fiddles and it's glorious. Like, she gets them to bring her gifts. She's a fucking legend. Like, when you read like book 18 especially, which we just did in book club, it's just like chef's kiss, Penelope. Oh my god, it's so fucking funny. Like, you'll just laugh going, work, queen. But she was very beautiful down there having a conversation with them. She seems to be holding a reasonably civil conversation, so that's a plus. She could be talking to some of the older suitors. We know that there was, you know, at least like, I believe Eurymachus and his father were both there as suitors. Maybe she's talking with them. So you never know, but she would usually try to not be hanging with the suitors.
Somebody help me.
Look at the owl. Oh, or is that just a bird? Oh, it must just be a bird. I was hoping it was an owl because it's so cute. It's a fat little burb. Wait. Nice wee little burb. Okay, so I'm gonna thank you for this sweet, chubby little burb.
Where is he?
Ooh.
Where is the man who loved you too? Where is
Now I get, oh, somebody with a very dramatic eye scar. Actually, I kind of like that look. Got some scruff. The hair should be a little longer. That's just such a great face, because I also see strong nose. We know I like strong facial features. I like that because Greeks just tend to have strong facial features. I speak from experience. Speak from experience because of my relatives. Strong facial features. I see a woman here would have been serving. Again, we know there are serving women. Some of 12 of whom are disloyal. And then there's also Melanto, who absolutely gets what she deserves. You bitch! She's the one who betrays Penelope because she's sleeping with Eurymachus. And she's like, hey, babes. So Penelope's totally pulling a trick on you with that shroud. Lol. And it's like, it's awful when you also realize that Penelope, so Melanto is quite young. She's probably around Telemachus's age, maybe even a hair younger. And Penelope basically, like, treated her like another daughter. Like, she would buy her toys. This girl grew up around the palace. Like, you're just like...
The language, the audacity of this bitch.
What I was gonna note was that bit where Telemachus is like, I don't want to go talk to the suitors. Not at all. He has no problem walking in there. And, like, he doesn't, again, kind of like Penelope, he doesn't like dealing with them, but he has no problem confronting them. He's had no problem talking with them and socializing with them. Now, once Athena enters the picture and sets him off on his quest, he really just, like, starts talking to them in a way where they're like, oh shit, didn't know he could talk like that. Okay. Maybe he is something to worry about. But he wouldn't be totally scared of him at this point. Like, let's also remember, Antinous is only a couple of years older than him. A lot of these guys are going to be probably not too far off from his age. Even though, yes, we have a whole mix. But I like that, Kisu, you've given a dimension and like, not dimension, a definition to these people who are in the foreground. The background is just a bunch of sort of like bodies, faceless bodies. Again, I'm very okay with that. Save your hand. But also, I like your character design. I also like the musculature and so many things that I like. Again, the clothing, it's not Bronze Age accurate, but most people are not giving me Bronze Age accurate clothing, and that's okay. I pointed out, it doesn't bother me that much. I'm also not surprised given a lot of the women, the tatas were out a lot of the time, so. I get why we're not doing that, unless we're apparently Ani Flama, because Ani Flama, I remember you're there other ways, okay? I remember. It's a serious scar, though. Ooh! I saw my Fabio-looking suitor, I mean hair, great hair, needed a beard, but great hair, with the maid on his lap. Could be one of the disloyal maids. Again, Kisu, I don't know how much you know the original Odyssey, know Greek mythology, but yeah, that could be one of the disloyal maids. Just saying. He's alone. Okay. That ring is his, like, here's how I hold on. Wow! Holy sweet Jesus.
Why don't you
Okay, wow. That's a body and a half. Okay. I'm gonna tease you a little bit, Kisu Doodles. I love it, actually. Like, I'm a fan of your musculature and giving these guys muscles. This is ridiculous. And, like, I get it. Like, I get it. For me, I look at that and go, give him a beard, slightly change his hair. That, to me, would be Ajax the Greater. Telamonian Ajax, the man whose shield was so big it took an entire ox hide to cover it. Like, that, to me, is a Telamonian Ajax. With longer hair and a beard. He looks like I'm assuming this is meant to be a scar across his nose. Did he get in a fight and break his nose? Good. Whoever broke Antinous' nose. I want to shake your hand. The undercut, obviously, very creative choice. Not a thing. They would want their hair long. Having your hair shaved would mean like there was a reason it got shaved, and that reason was usually not good. So you wanted the long hair. I do again see I'm gonna call him my Fabio suitor, just with the hair. That's super long. But given you are trying to create a massive discrepancy between the sound you're getting from Telemachus and the sound you're getting from Antinous, I see why you did this massive discrepancy in their looks and in their body types. It makes me laugh, and I'm actually saying that as a compliment. Like, to me, it adds to sort of the comedy of how badly this is written. But also, I'm like, you know what? Way to do a visual cue from what you're hearing. This is amazing. I'm sorry. Wait, you're actually making this fun for me, while I'm also raging internally. Oh wait, does he not have a scar? His scar looks like it disappeared for a second, so I don't know.
I just did. What you gonna do about it, champ?
Oh, you cut that off early. That makes me wonder, Kisu, do you have a little wolf? I don't think it's on deck. There are only 2 little wolves, and I didn't really check. I would assume you want to then flow from that into little wolf somehow. That antenna was hilariously huge, and I'm about it. That's hysterical. Sorry. Thank you. Honestly, Kisu, I needed that laugh. I needed that. Also, did you give Telemachus heterochromia in your end? Because he's got one blue eye and one green eye. Anywho, that was a delight. Especially the ending. That was kind of ridiculous, and I love it. And also, you had the sweet chubby burb. Thank you for making me actually tolerate that song, Kisu Doodles. And now the final legendary that almost didn't make the cut because I really was for the longest time saying I'm only having 2. But I was kind and let them have 3. We have Gigi. Gigi's legendary. Am I going to be able to listen to this with sound, or do I have to mute it? I don't know. If nothing else, I'm going to turn this really low. I can't listen to this song 3 times in a row. I just can't, guys. I'm going to have it on like 1 bar of volume. Anywho, let's go. Ooh. Oh, wow. Hold on. No, I want to pause. I like this. I like this a lot. It's giving very like Athens kind of vibes. If you think of the Athens with their agora, and then up on the hill you have the palace, which I think, you know, you pull from like the Parthenon and all of that. But it looks like, I mean, Gigi, I will give you, look like you're trying to give me the feel of kind of a Greek agora, which is like kind of like a Roman forum, if you will. It really does look good. It looks like there are palm trees in there though in the back, and I have a question. No, it looks good. I like all these different people. Everybody looks different. There's kids. I'm guessing that the statue there is meant to be Odysseus. I don't think they would have had a statue to him up there yet. It probably would have been a statue to a god, more likely. That's what I think that's supposed to be. You don't have a face on him, but that's what I'm assuming it's supposed to be. Regardless, it would probably be a god. That's a cool shot. Oh, rim lighting. Definitely meant to be Odysseus. Another one with him like working with scrolls. A lot of people really have him working with scrolls. Ooh, I like the chord. Ah, based on images. Okay. Yep, I see your Scylla, your Gorgon. Oh, family portrait. And then a mirror. That's quite lovely, actually. Oh, is that supposed to be Argus? There's a lot of frames. Ooh, nice nod to Athena coming in. Oh, that dog looks a little older. Again, he was outside. On the trash. Like, can't think about it. Short sword, yeah. Okay, you're allowed to do the stupid legendary riff while giving the dog belly pets. Oh, keeping Penelope hidden behind her veil. Okay, let me note something about the veil. Penelope and the veil is a big thing. It actually goes back to even before the Odyssey. So when she and Odysseus get married, they are married in Sparta. And her father, Icarius, another great Greek girl dad, actually tries to make them stay in Sparta. He kind of begs him. He's like, I will give you land. I will give you a place here on the mainland. Like, don't go so far away. He doesn't want his daughter to go off so far away because it's literally the other side of the mainland and then off to an island. It's far. And he tries really hard, but it's just like, no, I am king of Ithaca. I think he's king by that point. Yeah, he's like, I gotta go home. I'm taking my wife with me. And she goes, and he, like, Icarius follows them to the dock. He does a last-ditch effort. He's like, literally, I'll give you whatever you want. And it was said that she draws her veil across her face as a sign to say, I am with my husband now. And Icarius backs off. He's like, my daughter has spoken. She is, you know, essentially by this point, the property of her husband. But Penelope in the Veil is a lot of great imagery, especially because of that incident. But then also it's the sign of kind of her modesty as well as her devotion to her husband, is that like they don't really get to look upon her too much when they do. Athena is working some magic and making her look extra gorgeous, like giving her some serious self-care, because this is, again, part of the undercover mission, which, of course, Penelope doesn't know is happening, but regardless. That dude was huge and had hairy arms.
They keep taking space and it's not much longer we can stop, 'cause they're getting impatient, dangerous too.
They all look like ruffians in a way, which I mean, they are all terrible, but it's interesting.
Somebody help me, come and give me the strength.
Purple for night, nice.
Can I do whatever it takes to keep my mom safe? If so, then give me sirens and a cyclops.
Oh, look at this sketchiness. He changed, it looks like, to a kind of pencil texture versus the usual pen.
I wanna be legendary. I'll fight the heartbeats and chimeras. The minutes are even Sarah's. I know life is
So yeah, you usually have a pen, that time you get a pencil. How interesting.
Where is he? Where is the man who loved you to wife? Oh,
I like all the facial hair I'm seeing.
where is he?
beating him out of house and home.
You'll spend your life 'cause it's been 20 years.
Now, roughhousing this way in the palace, we don't know necessarily a lot of that was going on. Like I said, they do have a bum fight, which is terrible. But they would actually do that like right outside the main hall. Like they wouldn't do it in the main hall proper because, again, they want to put on the image that they're not doing anything wrong. Wanton destruction of property in that way would potentially cause issues. I like the coloring. Kind of looming red.
Boy,
Wow.
when's your tramp of a mother gonna choose?
That is a
you
nose and a
husband?
half.
Why don't you
I kinda love
open
the huge
her room
nose.
so we can have
See?
fun with her?
Don't
you dare call my mother.
So is this canonical, I guess, that Antinous has some kind of eye scar? Well, actually, no, because Kisu just didn't do it. Kisu had him across the nose. Everybody apparently believes he's all scarred up, and I'm like, Antinous ain't that cool. He ain't done shit! But now we're fully red. Great color palette change.
I just did. What you gonna do
And,
about
well, I mean,
it,
he's
Jack?
dressed like a man salute. The hair is
Somebody
definitely something different. Oh.
come and give me
Ah, because his thinking is clearly these kind of pencil lines.
fight this monster.
They're giant wolves. He's little wolf. Yeah, I see the imagery. Square up.
Yeah, nope, I'm not hearing any more of that.
Yeah, good stuff. Look, this is very much Gigi does what Gigi does best. Great motion, great sense of perspective, sense of foreground and background. Character designs. I mean, Gigi, you worked. You did a lot of character designs. You very much leaned into, they all seem very much older, very kind of brawlers, barbarians, ruffians. Now, let's remember that all of these suitors were some kind of nobility. There's not just some average dude walking in off the street. These were all nobility of some kind, landholders, if you will. So they did have they technically supposedly knew a sense of decorum. They just don't care at this point. So they are a little rough and tumble looking for my personal tastes, but we all know that Jorge threw the nuance of this entire situation out the window. So honestly, Gigi, yeah, pretty much captured what he, I think, believed Ithaca looked like. So no, it looked great. Again, I love the insanely huge nose, strong nose on Antinous. Again, everybody's giving him some sort of scar, like he's done something cool. Lol, no he hasn't. Extra hilarious for me. And a lot of people showing the size differential between Antinous and Telemachus, I think, to add into why the little wolf fight goes the way that it does. But definitely quite a few things that are great across all of them. I mean, mostly, one, people's, designs of their characters, especially kind of the background players, so mainly not Telemachus, were really great, trying to lean into this idea of how alone Telemachus feels, how isolated he feels in this giant palace. And some people, including what I'm assuming is meant to be Argus, making him look a lot happier than he is in the Odyssey. I'm not going to think about it. It makes me sad. And interesting designs for the suitors. Which is, I mean, again, I like seeing the designs. I do feel a little bad because I really hate this saga. Just like I hate Vengeance. So I'm trying. I am trying, but if I seem like kind of under-enthused, it's mostly because I hate this part of the musical. I hate how badly it adapts the Ithaca situation. And has a moment to do some really great stuff and just throws it all away out the window. But I will say well done to the artists for keeping my attention. Like, I actually wanted to see what you all did. Because your art is phenomenal. And some great interpretations of that song. And next we have Little Wolf, but thankfully there are only 2 Little Wolves. I will try to be sober.